Okay, let's dive into this story, because this isn't just about Japan, it's really about a fundamental struggle for the future of the internet itself. While the West is out there fighting a really loud public war, Japan is quietly building a fortress. Right now, in 2026, a massive war is raging. You see it all over the news. Western governments are clashing head-on with big tech giants over who gets to control our digital lives. And the language is getting extreme, with state regulation being called outright tyranny. I mean, Europe's approach is this loud, messy, very public fight. You've got leaders in Spain, France, and the UK calling social media a public health threat. And in return, the platforms are firing back. It leads to these crazy moments like police literally raiding corporate offices. It is an all-out brawl. And this is where Japan comes into the picture. Its approach? It's completely different. It's not a public fight. It's a quiet, systematic construction project. And trust me, its ambition goes way beyond just controlling what teenagers are seeing online. So while Europe is in total chaos, a very similar debate is happening here in Japan. Should we ban social media for teens under 16? But the way the public has responded, well, that's what's truly revealing. And get this, nearly 3/4 of Japanese citizens actually support a ban. That's a huge number. And it really points to a different cultural perspective. One where freedom is often seen as something that needs to be protected by the state, not necessarily from the state. But if you dig just a little bit deeper, that national consensus just shatters. This isn't one unified country on the issue at all. It's a nation completely split by a massive generational divide. For parents, support is overwhelming. For the youth, it's a much different story. This really highlights two completely different realities. For the older generation, social media is like a digital poison that's corrupting their children. But for young people, the state isn't a protector, it's an intruder, threatening their social lifeline, the very space where they find their community and a sense of belonging. So here's the crucial point, this whole public debate about banning content. In many ways, it's a distraction. It's the battle you can see, while the real war, Japan's war, is being fought over something much more fundamental. So let's talk about Japan's primary weapon. It's not a content filter, it's a law, officially called the Smartphone Software Competition Promotion Act, but everyone just calls it the Smartphone New Law. And it doesn't target what you see on your phone, no, it targets the very structure of the phone in your hand. This law is a direct assault on the business models of Apple and Google. It basically forces them to open up their famous walled gardens. It says you have to allow other companies to run their own app stores, to use their own payment systems. It's all about breaking their absolute control over the entire ecosystem. And of course, big tech is pushing back, and they're pushing back hard. They're talking about security risks, and this is the controversial part. They're creating new fees for developers who dare to use these new freedoms. It's created a whole new battleground, with Japanese developers and consumers caught right in the middle. Now, this law isn't just some standalone policy. It's actually the first pillar of a much larger and, frankly, audacious national strategy. It's part of a blueprint for what you can only really describe as a digital fortress. Japan is systematically building this fortress with three core parts. First, you break the power of the foreign tech giants. Second, you build up your own domestic technology, especially in AI. And third, you create a unified digital identity for every single citizen. And the scale of this ambition is just staggering. The government has launched a 1 trillion yen national investment plan. A trillion! This isn't just about competing anymore. It's about survival. The goal is to build Japan's own AI, secure critical supply chains for things like semiconductors, and make sure the nation is never again dependent on foreign powers for its core technology. This all sounds like a grand national strategy, right? But what's it actually like for the average person to suddenly find themselves living inside this new digital fortress? What's the human price of all this security? Okay, let's look at that final pillar, a new mandatory digital ID called the My Number card. The old, kind of cute, unpopular card is being totally replaced. The new one integrates everything, your health insurance, your driver's license, into a single state-issued digital identity. And here's the key, it is no longer optional. The government is selling this as convenience, but the public isn't really buying it. There's this deep suspicion, and it's fueled by fears of a surveillance state and a lot of mistrust from past data blunders. People are really worried about the elderly being left behind, and honestly, they're angry at what looks like a colossal waste of tax money. And this brings us right back to the human cost. This quote from a young person just perfectly captures the disconnect. The government's grand vision of national security is clashing with the lived reality of its citizens, for whom these digital spaces are not a threat, but a vital lifeline. So in response, young people aren't waiting for the government to figure it out. They're creating their own defense mechanism, a trend called attention detox. They are strategically retreating from the open internet into these smaller, private online communities known as kawaii. And they're doing this because the digital world has become a pretty hostile space. I mean, AI can identify a person just from a reflection in a window. Your unique way of typing, your language fingerprint, can link all your supposedly anonymous accounts. They get it. True privacy is dead, so they're hiding in small, closed communities just to survive. So, at the end of the day, we have two very different approaches to the exact same global problem. Europe has chosen a loud, chaotic, open war with big tech. Japan, on the other hand, has chosen a quiet siege, a slow, systematic construction of a fortress that's designed to make foreign influence irrelevant. And the question for Japan, and ultimately for all of us, is what the final price of this security will be. In this quest to protect its citizens from outside threats, is Japan building a shield to ensure its survival, or is it building the walls of a very comfortable, very secure prison?